I never thought I'd be the one to bring down a neighborhood tyrant with a single email. But there I was, hitting send on a tip that would cost her everything: her job, her reputation, and 7 figures she didn't see coming. It started with a yellow slip under my wiper, accusing me of parking in a spot that wasn't even marked, pinned in her loopy, self-important scrawl like she owned the damn cul-de-sac. And when I confronted her, CEO Karen didn't just deny it. She slapped me with a lawsuit threat right there on my driveway, her Botox-frozen face twisting into that fake smile that screamed, "I'm untouchable." The audacity burned hotter than a Phoenix summer. But what really lit the fuse was realizing she wasn't just messing with me. She'd been fleecing the whole HOA for months, turning our quiet cul-de-sac into her personal ATM with bogus violations that lined her pockets, while the rest of us footed the bill for her McMansion's infinity pool. I could have let it slide like everyone else, swallowed the $250 fine, and moved on. But betrayal has a way of sharpening your claws, especially when it's from the woman who was supposed to be our leader, not our landlord from hell. By the time the city auditors showed up at her door, with subpoenas fluttering like confetti at a funeral, Karen was screaming obscenities that echoed off the stucco walls, her empire of petty power crumbling faster than a Jenga tower built on lies. But let's rewind to how a single mom from Tucson ended up dismantling a corporate shark in sensible heels. Because revenge, it turns out, tastes sweetest when it's served with a side of schadenfreude and a fat check from the municipal coffers. That yellow ticket wasn't the first sign, but damn if it wasn't the one that made me snap. I pulled into my assigned spot after a 12-hour shift at the hospital, scrubs still smelling like antiseptic and regret, only to find it waiting like a passive-aggressive post-it from hell. Unauthorized parking violation. $250 fine payable to HOA Enforcement Fund, it read, with a little smiley face doodled at the bottom. Because apparently even her scams needed that touch of passive-aggressive charm. I crumpled it in my fist, heart pounding not from fear, but from that slow-building rage you get when someone's pissing on your parade one drop at a time. Karen Whitaker, 52, VP of Operations at some faceless tech firm downtown, and self-appointed HOA president, had been pulling this crap since she moved in 6 months ago. At first, it was subtle emails about community standards that magically required us to repaint fences in her favorite shade of beige, or voluntary assessments for a clubhouse upgrade that only she used for her Zumba classes. But the parking fines? That was next-level grift. Our development in North Scottsdale was one of those cookie-cutter paradises, palm trees swaying lazily, golf carts zipping between McMansions, retirees sipping margaritas by the community pool. It was supposed to be an escape from the grind, not a descent into bureaucratic fascism. I marched straight to her door, ticket in hand, the desert sun baking my shoulders as I rang the bell like I was summoning the devil himself. She answered in yoga pants and a silk blouse, hair in that perfect bob that screamed, "I have a personal stylist," clutching a green smoothie like it was a shield. "Oh, hi, Sarah," she cooed, all fake warmth. "What brings you by?" Joining the garden committee at last. "Cut the crap." "Karen," I said, thrusting the ticket at her. "This is my spot. I've got the deed right here on my keychain tag. What's this about?" Her eyes flicked to the paper, then back to me, that smile tightening like a noose. "Well, sweetie, rules are rules. The board voted on stricter enforcement last month. You must have missed the newsletter." "Bullshit. There was no vote. And it's not even a violation spot. It's guest overflow. And I live alone." My voice was steady, but inside, I was a volcano. I'd grown up in a trailer park off I-10, scraping by on food stamps and grit. I didn't move here for stability just to get nickel and dime by a trust fund Karen who thought her corner office entitled her to play traffic cop. She crossed her arms, smoothie straw between perfectly glossed lips. "If you have an issue, file a formal appeal, but fines accrue interest after 48 hours. Wouldn't want that on your credit, would we? Then, as if to twist the knife, she added, besides, it's for the good of the community. That pool heater isn't cheap. I laughed, a sharp, bitter bark that made her flinch. The one you use every morning while the rest of us shower in tepid soup? Yeah, real community spirit. I turn on my heel, but not before snapping a photo of the ticket and her smug face with my phone. Call it instinct. Nurses learn quick that documentation is your best friend when the patient's chart starts lying. Back in my townhouse, I pour a glass of cheap Cabernet and scroll through the HOA group chat. A digital dumpster fire of passive-aggressive memes and Karen's edicts. Sure enough, buried under spam about yard waste protocols, there was a thread from 2 weeks back. Important update. Parking enforcement effective immediately. No minutes. No quorum. Just a word as gospel. I fired off a message. Anyone else get hit with these fake fines? Mine's a total BS. Check your windshields. The replies trickled in like hesitant allies in a coup. Mike from 142B. $150 for overhang. My truck's been there forever. Lena, the widow next door. She threatened to tow my son's car during his visit. It's predatory. By midnight, we had a mini revolt brewing, 10 households, all venting about the $200 to $500 hits they'd taken. Turns out Karen had been enforcing for months, pocketing the cash under the guise of administrative fees that never hit the official ledger. But here's where it gets controversial. The part that had tongues wagging from Scottsdale to the state capitol. Karen wasn't just skimming, she was targeting. Single folks like me, immigrants like Raj in 138A, young families scraping by, they got the tickets. The old money snowbirds with Tesla plaques in their driveways, untouched. It was class warfare wrapped in HOA bylaws. And when I dug into the financials, thank God for public records requests, I found the smoking gun, deposits from fines wired straight to her personal account, disguised as consulting reimbursements for her side hustle as a compliance expert. I could have confronted her again, but that would have been playing her game, petty squabbles in a group chat that she'd delete with a wave of her manicured hand. No, this needed teeth. I called my cousin Eddie, a PI down in Phoenix who'd once busted a ring of fake Rolex dealers. Send me everything, he growled over the line. Invoices, photos, chatlog. We'll build a dossier that'll make her lawyer weep. As I compiled the files that night, the hook of betrayal sank deeper. I trusted her, voted for her, even back when she charmed the potluck with promises of transparent leadership. Now, staring at bank statements showing $47,000 in illicit gains, I felt that familiar Tucson fire in my veins. This wasn't just about a parking spot. It was about every time I'd bitten my tongue for the sake of keeping the peace. Screw peace. It was time for war. The next morning, I woke to a knock that rattled my windows. Karen, flanked by 2 beefy guys in polo shirts that screamed private security. Sarah, she hissed through the screen door. Your little chat rebellion ends now. Retract those accusations, or I'll sue for defamation. You think a nurse's salary can handle discovery? I opened the door just enough to meet her gaze. My scrubs on, stethoscope dangling like a talisman. Try me, Karen. I've got receipts, literal ones, and friends in low places who love auditing high and mighty types like you. Her face purpled, that Botox barrier cracking. You have no idea who you're messing with. I run a Fortune 500 division. This neighborhood is my playground. Playgrounds have rules, I shot back. And sandboxes don't come with fraud clauses. The goons shifted uncomfortably as I slammed the door, but not before live streaming the whole thing to the group chat. Views spiked to 50 in minutes. Comments exploding. Holy shit. Is that her? Call the cops. This is elder abuse. Wait. No. It's Karen abuse. LOL. By lunch. The Scottsdale PD had a tip line buzzing, but I held off. Cops are slow, and Karen's type always lawyered up first. Instead, I emailed the Arizona Attorney General's office with my dossier, CCing the local news affiliate. Subject: HOA president embezzling thousands via fake fines, evidence attached. It was the shot heard round the suburb. And as I hit send, I whispered to my empty kitchen, "You move." See, little did I know, her count to move would be a doozy, a smear campaign that painted me as the unstable harpy out to destroy community harmony. But that's controversy for you. It cuts both ways. And mine was just getting sharpened. The backlash hit like a hubbub sudden, choking, and impossible to ignore. By evening, my inbox was a war zone. Anonymous emails calling me a troublemaking libtard because apparently fighting fraud makes you political. Voicemails from Karen's cronies threatening to key my Prius. And a Facebook post from her official HOA page branding me disgruntled and delusional. She'd photoshopped my staff photo from the hospital site, me in cheerful scrubs, smiling for the camera, next to a cartoon of a witch stirring a cauldron labeled "Lies and Lawsuits." The caption: "Beware the bitter nurse, spreading venom instead of care." I laughed at first, a hollow chuckle over takeout Thai, but it stung. In a town where reputations are currency and neighbors wave from golf carts like they're at a perpetual block party, being the villain sucks the joy right out. My phone buzzed nonstop, Lena offering wine and solidarity, Mike forwarding lawyer referrals, even quiet old Mr. Hargrove from across the street texting. Saw the post. "She's scared. Keep fighting, kiddo." But the real gut punch came from work. Whispers in the break room about that HOA drama chick, patients side-eyeing me during vitals like I might spike their for with spite. Karen, of course, double down. The next HOA meeting, mandatory, per her decree, was a circus in the clubhouse. Fairy lights twinkling mockingly over folding chairs arranged in a semicircle like a bad therapy session. She strode in late, designer heels clicking like gunfire, flanked by her two bored yes-men, Bob the retiree golfer and Trish the trophy wife with a real estate side gig. "Good evening, neighbors," she purred, projector humming to life with a slide deck titled "Restoring Order, Addressing Disruptive Elements." My photo loomed large, circled in red with devil horns doodled on. Murmurs rippled as I sat in the back, notebook in lap, Eddie on speed dial. "We've all seen the unfortunate posts," she began, voice dripping honeyed venom. "One individual's vendetta against progress threatens our serene community. Fines aren't fake. They're essential for maintenance. And this fabricator," she tapped my image, "she's weaponizing misinformation to line her own pockets. I have affidavits proving her harassment." The room erupted. Raj stood first, accent thick with righteous fury. "Harassment? You ticketed my family's Diwali guests for loitering in the driveway. We paid $400. Where's that money?" "Karen? My wife's chemo fund." Bob cleared his throat, loyal lapdog to the end. "Now, right? Let's not get emotional. Karen's just enforcing bylaws. Enforcing theft." Lena shot back, her silver bob quivering. "I found 3 tickets on my recycling bin. Said it was aesthetic pollution. That's not bylaws. That's bullying." Karen's facade cracked then, just a hair, lips pursing like she'd sucked a lemon. "If you all insist on anarchy, perhaps we dissolve the HOA altogether. No more pool. No more security gates. Is that what you want? Chaos." The yes came from me, loud and unapologetic, echoing off the vaulted ceiling. Heads turned, a mix of shock and stifled snickers. "Dissolve it," I echoed. "Free us from your reign of terror. Or better yet, audit the books. Let's see how many fines funded that new Tesla in your garage." She whirled on me, eyes blazing. This is libel. Sarah, I'll bury you in court fees. My firm's pro bono division eats cases like yours for breakfast. Pro bono for the rich. I stood, voice carrying like a scalpel. Save it for the Mirror. Karen, we've got bank records, witnesses, the works. The AG's office called this morning. Your enforcement fund is under review. Tick-tock. Gasps rippled like dominoes. Trish's jaw dropped. Bob fidgeted with his visor. Karen went ghost white, then rallied with a shrill laugh. Paranoia. You're unhinged, probably from all those night shifts. Security. Escort her out. But no one moved. The room hung heavy. That electric buzz before a storm breaks. Mike piped up. I'm with Sarah. Audit now. Then Hargrove. Me too. Hell, I paid $300 for excessive holiday lights last Christmas. One by one. Hands rose 15, 20, until it was a sea of rebellion staring down the queen. She adjourned in a huff, heels storming out, but not before hissing at me in the hall. This isn't over. You'll regret crossing me. I smiled, all teeth, looking forward to it. The next days blurred into a frenzy of controversy that lit up local news like a brush fire. Channel 3 ran a segment, Suburban Shakedown, HOA pres accused of fraud, with pixelated tickets and my anonymous interview, voice distorted. Face shadowed. Karen fired back on a conservative talk radio spot, painting herself as a victim of woke cancel culture targeting hard-working American women. Calls flooded in, supporters decrying feminazi HOA haters, detractors sharing their own horror stories from HOAs across the valley. Social media? A battlefield. Karen Gate trended locally. Memes of her smoothie-sipping mug on parking meters. Captions like, "Fine for breathing," "Scottsdale's new bylaw." I went viral by accident. A clip from the meeting, me dropping the AG bomb, racking up 50K views. Offers poured in, podcasters wanting my take, lawyers offering contingency deals. Even a GoFundMe from neighbors that hit $5,000 overnight for legal defense against tyranny. But outrage has teeth, and Karen bare hers. My hospital got a complaint letter on her company letterhead, claiming I was spreading workplace gossip that endangered patients. HR called me in, sympathetic but cautious. "We love your work, Sarah, but this publicity." "Tone it down." I nodded, seething inside. That night, my tires were slashed, clean cuts. Noise bright paint. The work of pros. Eddie traced it to a consulting firm linked to her network. "She's escalating," he warned. "Watch your back." I did more than that. I leaked the tire photo to the press, tying it to her threats. The story exploded. HOA feud turns violent. Protests brewed. Picket lines at the clubhouse. Signs reading "Fines for Freedom" and "Karen's crap." Her board resigned en masse. Trish texted me apologies at 2 a.m. I didn't know. God, I am sorry. Yet the real backlash brewed in boardrooms. Whispers from Eddie's contacts. Her CEO was getting heat. Investors jittery about executive misconduct. Karen's LinkedIn went dark. Post scrubbed. She cornered me at the mailbox one dawn. Eyes wild. "No macaparme. Please. Sarah." Called off. "I'll refund everyone double. Just stop." I zipped my hoodie against the chill. Too late. The city's involved now. Auditors tomorrow. Her hand shot out, gripping my arm, nails digging like talons. "You bitch." This was my life. My career. Tears streaked her foundation. Mascara rivers. "Pity," I said, prying free. "Imagine how it feels for the single moms you bled dry." I walked away, her sobs chasing me like ghosts. But pity? Nah. This was just intermission. The finale would be biblical. As the sun crested the Catalinas, I filed my final report, not to the AG, but to the IRS. Embezzlement's cute until Uncle Sam wants his cut. And boy, did he. The audit hit like a SWAT team at dawn. 6 city suits in khakis and clipboards. Badges gleaming under the floodlights. rapping on Karen's door while the neighborhood cul-de-sac stirred with sleepy voyeurs in bathrobes. I watched from my porch coffee in hand, the air thick with that pre-monsoon humidity that makes everything feel heavier, more inevitable. She answered in a silk robe. "Hair askew," screeching about warrants and civil rights like a reality TV diva mid-meltdown. But the lead auditor, a no-nonsense Latina named Rivera with a bun tighter than her bun, just held up a subpoena. A mess. "Whitaker, we're here for the books." All of them. Word spread faster than Cholla thorns. By noon, news vans clogged the street, reporters thrusting mics at anyone in slippers. Is it true the fines were fake? How much did she pocket? I stonewalled. But Lena spilled tea to a local blogger. It was targeted, us little people versus her elite circle. Sarah's the hero who blew the whistle. Hero? Nah. Avenger? Maybe. The kind who smiles while sharpening the blade. Karen's countermove was pure desperation. A press conference in her driveway, flanked by a lawyer who looked like he'd sue his own mother for custody fees. Microphones bristled as she stepped up, voice quavering for the cameras. This is a witch hunt orchestrated by a disgruntled resident with a personal grudge. Yes, there were irregularities in accounting, but no intent to defraud. I'm a mother, a professional. I've dedicated my life to this community. Sniffles. A dab tear. The accusations are politically motivated smears against successful women like me. The crowd, neighbors turned spectators, murmured. Raj yelled, "Where's my $400? Karen, a chant started. Refund. Refund. Her lawyer hustled her inside as eggs splattered the garage door, courtesy of some pissed-off teens with axes to grind. Online, it was carnage. Twitter, or X, whatever, lit up with fake fines Karen. Videos of her smoothie confrontation remixed with clown music. Her company's stock dipped 3% on the news. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to make boardrooms sweat. Me? I kept my head down, shifts blurring into a haze of 4 drips and monitor beeps. But the betrayal lingered like a phantom ache. I'd confided in her once, over forced HOA wine nights, about my ex bailing when our kid was diagnosed with asthma, leaving me to juggle RN hours and nebulizer runs alone. "You're so strong," she'd said, clinking glasses. "We Karens gotta stick together." Strong? Try surviving. And now, her sisterhood had twisted into this. Threats. Smears. Slashed tires. It fueled me. That raw, unfiltered fury. The kind that makes you question if forgiveness is just code for weakness. The real outrage peaked at the city council hearing. A stuffy chamber in downtown Phoenix packed with folding chairs and flickering fluorescents. Karen sat ramrod straight in a power suit, lawyer whispering like a ventriloquist dummy. I testified second. After Rivera laid out the bones, $127,000 in unaccounted fines over 8 months, funneled to Karen's accounts via Shell LLCs. MS. Whitaker signed off on every violation, Rivera said. Charts projected like indictments. No board approval. No receipts, just personal enrichment. Congelor Hale, a grizzled vet with a mustache like a broom, leaned in. MS. Whitaker, care to explain why low-income households were fined at triple the rate? Her response? A masterclass in deflection. Correlation isn't causation. Counselor, those residents simply complied less. And Sarah Ellis, she pointed, dramatic as a soap opera, initiated this vendetta after I denied her variance for a backyard beehive. She's unstable, using her nursing credentials to manipulate sympathies. The room gasped. Beehive? I'd asked about pollinator gardens, not apian anarchy. Lies? Pile high. My turn came, heart thumping like a bass drop. I stood, notes trembling slightly. Counselors, this isn't personal, it's predatory. Karen targeted the vulnerable, immigrants, singles, families like mine. I have emails, deposits, witness statements, and threats, security footage of her goons at my door. I queued the video on my phone. Her voice tinny but unmistakable. Retract or else. Murmurs swelled to outrage. A councilwoman, young, black, fierce, slammed her gavel light. This is elder abuse? No. It's economic terrorism against working folks. Cheers erupted. Karen's face crumbled. That CEO polish peeling like cheap veneer. But the controversy? It splintered us. Pro-Karen petitions circulated online, save our standards, from her snowbird set, decrying anarchist mobs ruining property values. Counter-protests popped up, HOA hell no, with signs mocking her as ticket tyrant. National outlets sniffed blood, Fox calling it suburban socialism run amok, CNN framing it as grassroots justice against elite grift. I got death threats filtered through Eddie. Marriage proposals, weirdly flattering. Even a book deal nudge from a podcaster. Spill the tea. Sarah, Karen, the fall of a fraud? Through it all, I visited my kiddo at her dad's, asthma flaring from the stress. Poor thing. Mommy, why's Aunt Karen mad? She'd ask, eyes wide over her nebulizer mask. I'd hug her tight, whispering, some grown-ups forget fairness. But we remember. It grounded me. That tiny heartbeat against my chest. This wasn't glory. It was necessity. The hammer dropped 2 weeks later. City fine of $2.1 million. Restitution to victims. Plus penalties for fraud. Plus interest that accrued like her bogus tickets. Her company fired her that afternoon. Press released hers. Mutual separation due to unrelated personal matters. Unrelated? My ass. Her McMansion went into foreclosure notices. Tesla repossessed overnight. Neighbors got checks, mine for $1,200. Enough for a semester's tuition buffer. She cornered me one last time at the community mailbox. Gaunt in oversized sunglasses. Voice a rasp. You happy now? You've ruined me. My husband left. Kids won't speak to me. I signed for my package, vitamins for Ellie, without looking up. Ruined? Try robbed. Karen, we were your community, not your cash cow. As she slunk away, sobs muffled. A bitter pang hit. Not victory, vindication. Maybe, but laced with the sour aftertaste of what could have been. If she just led, not lorded. If trust hadn't curdled into this. But the story doesn't end sweet. Turns out, her irregularities hid darker debts, loans from shady sources to fund her empire. Whispers of witness tampering surfaced. Eddie tipped the feds. Last I heard, she's lawyered up in a plea deal, facing time in county for wire fraud. Bitter? For her. Yeah. For me? A hard-won exhale, like shedding a too-tight skin. In the quiet aftermath, when the news trucks peeled out and the chants faded to cul-de-sac whispers, I found myself adrift in the victory I'd clawed for. The HOA dissolved by acclamation, bylaws shredded in a bonfire party that tasted like freedom and esmores. Neighbors who'd once nodded politely now clapped me on the back at the pool. Sarah, you're our badass whistleblower. Mike ran for the new co-op board, promising fines only for actual crimes, like stealing the last beer from the cooler. Lena started a community garden, beehives and all, with a plaque for the pollinators and the truth tellers. But glory's a fickle friend. My 15 minutes stretched to awkward hours, job offers from watchdog nonprofits, invites to TEDx knockoffs, the courage to call out Karen, even a Netflix true crime pitch that made my stomach twist. We dramatize it. The producer gushed over Zoom. You, as the plucky every mom. Her, as the Ice Queen villain. I passed. Politely. Some scars you don't auction off for binge-watch fodder. Work steadied, but the whispers lingered. Colleagues asking for the real dirt during lunch. Patients Googling me mid-consult. Wait, You're that HOA lady. Ellie thrived, asthma easing with the stress purge. Her drawings now featuring Mom the superhero in a cape of parking tickets. My ex even texted congrats. A olive branch I ignored. Betrayal's echo chamber doesn't fade overnight. Karen's fall, though, that was the bitter cherry. Court dates dragged through summer. Her once impeccable suits, now thrift store rumpled. Face etched with lines no filler could fill. The plea hearing was public theater, federal courtroom in Phoenix. Air-conditioned, chill, clashing with the desert heat outside. I sat in the back, anonymous in the gallery, Eddie's hand on my knee for steady. She shuffled in, chains discreet under the table. Lawyer droning about mitigating circumstances, undue pressure from board duties. The judge, a stern woman with silver streaks and zero patience, cut him off. A mess. Whitaker, you defrauded 37 households, targeted the vulnerable, and obstructed justice with intimidation tactics. This wasn't pressure, it was predation. Verdict, 18 months federal, plus 5 years probation. Restitution ongoing till the cows come home. As the gavel fell, she crumpled, a keening wail that silenced the room. Her kids, teens with earbuds and averted eyes, slipped out early. Ghosts of privilege passed. Outside, reporters swarmed. I ducked into the heat, heart pounding not with triumph, but a hollow ache. I'd wanted justice. Not this, a broken woman howling her empire's end. Driving home, radio crackling with recaps from CEO suite to cell block, the Karen Whitaker saga. I pulled over at a Viewpoints. Catalina's sprawling like judgment. Was I the villain in her story? The jealous underling toppling the throne? Nah. But the controversy weeds sparked lingered. A national debate on HOAs as many governments gone rogue. Bills proposed in Albany to cap fines. Limit powers. My email, that fateful send, rippled wider than Scottsdale. Months on, the neighborhood healed unevenly. Raj's family hosted a victory Diwali. Fireworks bursting like delayed catharsis. I danced with Ellie under lanterns. Her laughter a balm. But sleep? It came fitful. Dreams of yellow tickets fluttering like accusations. Therapy helped. A no-BS counselor who called it righteous rage residue. You avenged the betrayed, she said. Now forgive yourself for winning ugly. Forgiveness. The word stuck like sand in my shoes. I visited Karen once. Post-sentencing. At the women's facility up near Flagstaff, neutral ground. Plexiglass and phones like a bad 80s flick. She looked small. Orange jumpsuit swallowing her frame. Hair limp. Why? She rasped. Receiver trembling. I was building something. For us. For you, I corrected. Voice even. Power. Not community. You forgot we're all just trying to park our messes without extra fees. Tears tracked her cheeks. I hate you. Fair. I hung up. The click final as a door slam. Driving back. Windows down. Country radio crooning about outlaws and redemption. I exhaled. Bitter end? Hers. Sure, but mine tasted like possibility. Sharp with the tang of what-ifs. Now, a year out, the cul-de-sac hums with tentative peace. No tyrants. Just BBQs and borrowed tools. I run for the co-op board. Platform simple. Fines for fun only, like pie-throwing contests. Ellie cheers loudest. My little revolutionary. And Karen? Last clipping, parole denied. Appeal pending. Some endings drag. Like bad debts. But here's the hook's twist. The controversy's coda. In dismantling her, I rebuilt me. From quiet survivor to the woman who hit send and changed the street. Shocking? Maybe. Unexpected? Hell yes. And if another ticket flutters under my wiper someday, I'll crumple it. Smile. And remember, empires fall on the smallest rebellions. The end? Nah. Just the park.